Welcome everybody to our extraordinary council meeting to discuss, debate and adopt potentially our fees and charges for 2023-24. We have apologies from councillors Simpson, Taylor and Crown. If I could have a mover and seconder. Thank you, Councillor Mawson. Councillor Brown, all those in favour please say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Do we have any conflicts of interest? No. Now, under my announcements, I have some breaking news. We have had an update on the McLean Park changing rooms project, and I can confirm that for the Warriors match, they will be complete and our guests will be able to enjoy the upgraded changing rooms. So we just wanted to provide that update. Jamie went away and confirmed that for us prior to the meeting. Well done. Any announcements by management?
Peter's work.
Right, so we'll launch into our agenda item, fees and charges 23-24, and I will invite Caroline Thompson to the front and Alistair Eadie, who I don't know that we've met before, to present the paper. Thank you.
Good morning. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Alistair to you all, because you probably haven't met him. He's been here for 3 weeks now? Yep, and one of his first jobs was to get around council and collate the fees and charges. So he's here to help with any detail regarding the questions. Plus, I've got quite a few subject matter experts sitting in the audience there. So this report is seeking approval from council to make changes to the fees and charges for 23-24. Each year, as you'll know, when we set our budgets, we review the fees and charges to ensure that we're recovering our costs and also complying with our revenue and financing policy. For 23-24, most of the fees have increased by CPI, or 7.2%. However, there are a number that have either increased by more than that or less than that for a number of reasons. And these reasons are set out in the report with the line-by-line detail of all the fees and charges contained in the document attached. And I'd just like to point out that we have discovered that there was an error in the proposed charges for the base at Maraenui, and we've tabled the correction and we will update the document accordingly. So at this point, I'd just like to hand over also to Thunis, our Executive Director of Community Services. So I think he's got something he'd like to add.
Madam Chairman, just wanting to say that I got a message from Councillor Mawson asking about the locals fee that we've got part of the aquarium. And the question was that could we just apply it across everyone? Because it has been a question raised in the past about how can we do it. But at this stage, we would like to keep it with the aquarium, because in the next few months, we are going to review our fees and charges through our business review that we're going to do anyway, and that will then form part of the 10-year plan or the long-term plan process.
Thank you, Thunis. I'll open up for any questions from councillors.
Sorry. With the library costs, we did, discuss removing fines for overdue books. And does that just mean you've just taken them out completely in the fees and charges? Is that the way it's being managed?
If that line has been removed, then yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Price.
I'm into Ocean Spa. A concession card for senior citizens and community service. We talked about that, and it's not in here. The other thing is while you're thinking about that, the cost for a senior citizen or community service card holder has gone from $5.70 to $8, whereas an adult 15 plus has gone from $10.70 to $11.50, so that's 80 cents, and $5.70 to $8 is $2.30. Seems just interested how you come up with that calculation. So it's two questions.
Okay. So
The first one was the subject of a meeting last week. It's not working. Is that working? No, it's not. It's not working. Might have to go.
oh, cheers. Is that working now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So through the Mayor, the first question was around the community services concession cards. So that was the subject of a meeting that we had last week or so. The council directive amended the recommendation slightly, and the recommendation that was put in that there is now a community services concession card priced at, I think it was $72. So 9 times the entry fee. So that's been included. Corinne straight away actioned that, and it's in the marketing database and it's in the fees and charges. So that's been done. And you might have to recap your second question. Sorry, Keith.
What's the difference between an adult over 15 going from $10.70 to $11.50 and a senior citizen going from $5.70 to $8? The percentage of increase is quite substantial.
Yes.
So just in your answer to your first one, we've got concession cards. Are you saying it's in there? Am I missing it somewhere?
No, I don't believe it's been updated in this, so we'll actually
okay.
put that into the resolution.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. But in terms of the magnitude of the increase, analysis was done across what we offered senior citizens across all of our council facilities. The magnitude of the discount that was under the previous regime, so under when H2O managed Ocean Spa, was a little bit out of whack with what we applied for the rest of our facilities. So this change is really just bringing the discount applied from the normal adult entry rate for a senior citizen more in range with what we provide across council.
Thank you.
Councillor Bogue.
Question. Does the gym fee include access to the pool? And does it also include access to classes for the gym at Ocean Spa?
Yes, through the Mayor, yes it does. So if you're a member of the facility, you get access to everything in Ocean Spa. So steam, sauna, pools, spas. Classes, yes, group fitness classes, yes, all included in the same membership, yes.
Councillor Crystal.
Just in regard back to pools, so Ocean Spa, we've got children at $8.50, but senior citizens at $8. But at the aquatic centre, they're the same. To me, that would, just having that continuity would be quite good to have. They're $4.30 at the aquatic centre, and we've got $8 and $8.50.
Yes. Okay, through the Mayor, just looking at doing some analysis across both of the aquatic sites, there are a few inconsistencies in terms of how things have been calculated or priced. There is the opportunity going forward to bring those things into alignment a little bit further, but we did have the existing fees that were charged by the previous management company that we wanted to factor into the initial fees and charges. And we've also got the historic, the rationale behind what the Napier Aquatic Centre does. So it's potentially something we can do in a phased way over the next few years, but at the moment there will be a few inconsistencies as we bear in mind what historically has been there.
It just seems like, $8 for senior and a child seems to be, that would be more consistent than charging more for children than a senior citizen. That's my opinion.
So just following on from that, and it might be a question for Thunis, are the 2 aquatic facilities being included in the review that we're doing across all facilities?
Yes, Madam Chair, yes, they are included. And may I just also add that I think from the beginning we were saying that Ocean Spa is a different product that we want to provide. And so it's more of a commercial product, within council, commercial. And so that's why the fees are different.
Thank you. And Councillor Crystal, are you happy that if there's a review being undertaken as part of the overarching facility review to leave it as it currently is in the schedule?
Yeah, I understand that they're commercial, but yeah, it just seems that obviously we've put the senior citizens up to 8. I just think they would look much better if they were the same.
Councillor Greig.
Through Madam Chair, thank you. So a question about the aquarium. Just wondering why the discount is so little for locals. It's $27 for just a normal entry, but $25.50 for a Hawke's Bay local. A $1.50 discount for locals is not really that much, and considering that it's a great family facility, but a lot of locals feel it's too expensive to go. What was the reasoning behind that one?
Yeah, kia ora. So look, Rach, I'll come up front. Rach would have done a lot of analysis with the fees and charges. It's all coming round to that funding policy for us to try and achieve it. What rationale is, we can look at again if you want us to try and make it cheaper.
Yeah, I have had the feedback from several people that they just don't go because it's too expensive, and it's a great place to go on a rainy day. In Napier, we don't have many places to go inside, so I think that would be great to look at that.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's that real mix of trying to achieve our funding policy, and we value the product and the quality that we do down there. We don't want to fall into the trap of dropping the price too much or fall into that game of doing that.
Yeah, I just think $25.50 is too much.
So through the chair, if I can just say that that's obviously the direction that council have given us with this review. And obviously when we've undertaken this review, and obviously in light of the feedback you gave us yesterday, there may be things where we need to be more commercial. And I think what you're hearing from Steve is that the reason that some of our funding has been the way it is around our funding mechanisms sitting behind that, and the direction that's been given about certain entities needing to be self-funded for a certain level. So hence you can't necessarily drop the price. But this gives us an opportunity, this review gives us an opportunity to look at all of this in the round and be more consistent across all our facilities, and for you to give us direction as to which facilities you'd like us to operate in a certain way and which facilities you'd like to change the way we operate. So I'd recommend that if you're comfortable, that the appropriate time to make those changes will be when we have the full information.
Thank you.
Councillor Bogue, and then Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
With the aquatic centre charges on page 29, I'm just curious about the senior citizens gold card, which the 22-23 fee, there's no fee listed, and that the next year fee is $1, which is great. And leading on from that, is that why, if it's only $1 for a senior citizen to get in, why there's no concession cards listed for it's community card holders, but not for senior citizens?
Through the Mayor, and thank you, Maxine, for your question. Yes, the Senior Citizens Super Swim, I'm trying to get the name right, of the program. So that's been in play for quite a few years now, for $1 entry for senior citizens that have a gold card. So that's funded by an external provider. So some generous community people subsidise that. They offset the cost, the difference between the $3.80 or $4 or what it used to be to the $1. So that's been in play for sort of 4 years or so, and it's still the same.
That's great. It's also good to see that the charges for general spectators have been dropped. So that's another positive move in terms of accessibility. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Thank you. I just have a process concern around setting some of the fees and charges in the resource management space. And if I could just ask my question, I know I haven't asked it in advance, so it may need a little bit of research. So my understanding is that when you change fees and charges in the Resource Management Act under Section 36, you're required to complete the special consultative process as set out in the Act, which obviously we've decided not to do with this annual plan. So I just have a question around the legality then of any increases if we haven't followed that process, which is set out separately in the Act. So if I could just table that. Thank you.
Should we just check if there is anyone able to answer that in the first instance? Otherwise, we'll include it in the resolution as an action.
Yes, sorry for not asking that in advance, but it just came to me. So my understanding, just to table for future is that when you set fees and charges under Section 36 of the Resource Management Act, you're required to do the special consultative process under, was it 83 of the LGA, which obviously we're not doing this time. So all the other fees and charges are set under the LGA, however, resource management ones are done through the RMA. So there's a slight difference there. Yeah, my apologies for not asking that in advance.
Councillor Brown.
Similar in that I haven't asked it in advance, and it's a procedural question around the resource consent ones. Just thinking ahead to the district plan, where we've got some new sites of significance to Māori, significant natural areas and historic places, which may or may not need resource consents upon notification of the district plan, is my understanding. So just wondering how the timing of the notification of the district plan fits in with the approval of these, and whether these will naturally apply to the residents or whether we've got a second chance to have that conversation with the community.
Notwithstanding the answer to Annette's question about Section 36, as I understand, the fees and charges come into effect on the 1st of July. And so the district plan won't be notified until October, so any consents under the new district plan will be on the new fees and charges, but notwithstanding the Section 36 question that we need to resolve.
Okay.
Thanks, Rachel.
Any further questions? Okay, now before we move into discussion and debate, I am just going to propose some additions to the officer's recommendation to capture a couple of the items that have been raised. So essentially, and we may just include it or append it into A, that the adoption of the schedule is subject to the senior citizens and community services card holders concession card rates being added for Ocean Spa. Are subject to senior citizens and community services card holders concession card rates being added for Ocean Spa.
Just while you're on that, just do we know what that amount will be?
Glenn did mention it earlier. Was it 17? Yeah.
How much?
72 for the 10 card, and then
Okay.
there's the 30 card, which might be 3 times that.
With a discount?
And further to that, the other subject to is confirming the RMA fees and charges are not required to go through a special consultative process. Would you prefer that we actually refer to the Act in that as well, Deputy Mayor Brosnan, or is that enough to satisfy your?
You could say the Local Government Act, Section 83, special consultative process if you wanted, but just compliant with Section 36 of the
That's what I
Act.
was referring to, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, happy with that.
Are we able to pop that up on the screen? Not that that helps to read it. Caroline?
Do we want to add in the correction for the base Rānui rate, the one that I tabled?
Yes, if we have that as a 3. Councillor Brown, you look like you're formulating something. Question, maybe?
I suppose I know that we've had conversations in the past around the public-private benefit of resource consents, and these new ones that are going to come into play with the district plan, and we haven't had the chance to formally discuss that, and I wondered if that's a conversation we might want to bring in, seeing as this will be in play for 12 months, during which the people's property rights will change.
So are you suggesting deferral of the adoption of these fees and charges pending a conversation on the RMA fees and charges? Or are you,
no.
Proposing that we have an action to have a workshop on that for future years' fees and charges in relation to the...
Yeah, probably thinking it'd be easier to do it specifically on the ones that are going to change before the district plan is notified. Is that?
May I ask for the chair, what fees and charges are going to change?
Yeah, I might be confused here, but so say somebody has, for example, a historic property and they want to do some renovations to the exterior of their house. Currently, if it's not listed, they do not have to go through any process, but my understanding is when it gets notified and their property is listed, they will then have to go through a resource consent process. And so we've had in the past some discussion around whether the standard resource consent fees and charges apply in that situation.
Yeah, so I can understand your point. So whether a fee is incurred as part of the district plan because then a resource consent is triggered is something for the district plan. What that fee might be is set through this process, through your fees and charges setting. So the amount and what is charged is this process. Whether a resource consent is triggered or not is a process for the district plan.
Yes.
So we set fees and charges every year, or we increase them through the CPI. But if in the district plan, if we change our policy setting and we say, now we expect these sorts of activities to have a resource consent, then the fees and charges that are effective at that time will apply.
Yes.
Makes sense?
Yes.
So I think they are separate matters.
Yes. I'll drop it. Yep. Yep.
Deputy Mayor Brosnan.
Sorry, just to weigh in on that conversation, because I do understand the point that's being made. I think in terms of a correct process for dealing with that issue, I would suggest that once a district plan was adopted and then became operative, we could make a decision around this table to amend fees and charges accordingly if we wanted to, because, correct me if I'm wrong, staff, we're able to trigger a review or a change to fees and charges at any time throughout a financial year as well.
Right. Thank you, Rachel.
And sorry, just to add, and I hope it's not going to confuse as well, but there's also an opportunity for us, if we wanted to, through the revenue and financing policy, to look at the split, the public-private split for that activity and assess whether we need to increase public or private.
Thank you. So just reading through that new wording, that all looks good for me. Just foreshadowing, I'm happy to move this, but do just want to open up if there is any general conversation before we move into formal debate. Okay, there's none, so I will move the recommendation from the chair. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brosnan. Just wanting to acknowledge the work that has been done on this, and, you know, I'm really pleased to see that there has been an exercise undertaken to ensure that we are, our user pays, fees and charges are covering the costs of services being provided, subject to, of course, our revenue and finance policy. But it is really important for us as a council to ensure that we are behaving in a financially sustainable way, and we have costs that we absorb just as everybody else does, and it's unreasonable for us to expect that we have to absorb those when we do need to pass those on. So thank you for all the work that has been done on these fees and charges, and as I said, happy to move from the chair. So Deputy Mayor.
Not too much further to your summary. Thank you, Mayor Wise. I think it's always an interesting discussion we have around that public-private split for our facilities, and we make sure, and we try to make sure that everything is accessible to our communities, but also where sometimes those fees lie as they fall, and that's appropriate where there is a private benefit. It obviously offsets our rates income and fees and charges, and it's an important part of making sure we deliver those services to the people that use them and need them and want them. So, yeah, very supportive of the resolutions, and thank you for indulging me on making sure that those statutory provisions are set with our RMA ones as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further councillors wishing to speak to the motion?
Just glad to see no increases to the Part 2 mini golfs. Gotta go, thank you for your mahi.
Okay, if there's no further speakers, I'll put that. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much, and we'll just close with our karakia, please. Oruwha. Kia tau te rangamare, ki runga I ngā iwi katoa o Ahuriri. Kia piki te ora, te kaha me te maramatanga, I ngā wā katoa, te hei Māori ora. Thank you, everyone.